So today, Bloody Disgusting reported that the Conjuring television series that was announced quite a while ago now is going ahead. I had assumed maybe it was on hiatus, but this confirms that now it is back on. And with the tremendous box office success that The Conjuring Last Rites is having, this is of no surprise. Now, in that review, I had mentioned that the producers of the Conjuring universe had said that The Conjuring Last Rites might be the Warrens' last film, but it is just the end of phase one of the overall Conjuring universe as we know it. With all of these films, for some reason the Curse of La Llorona never gets included with it. I always include it because it does have a character from the Conjuring franchise in it, so I don't know why it never gets included when I see lists of the universe, but anyway. Yeah, I mean, we really don't know anything about this. We don't have any confirmation on if Patrick and Vera are going to return as Ed and Lorraine for like prequel stuff, or if this is going to be about Ed and Lorraine at all. Could it be the passing of the baton, so to speak, over to Judy? That's possible. So what would I want to see from this show? What makes the most sense to me? Well, okay. I thought about it, but I didn't have to think about it for very long because I think that the most obvious thing to do is to take the haunted artifact room that the Warrens have in their house that's shown prominently throughout the franchise and have a prequel series about Ed and Lorraine acquiring said objects within that room. You have a wealth of different artifacts in there to draw from that we've seen, and there can be tons that we haven't seen, but you get all of the backstories. Every episode acts as a case in which they acquire, the ferryman's coins or the samurai armor or whatever. From most of what we saw was in Annabelle Comes Home. That's where we got to really see what was in that room. The television, stuff like that. If you could make an episode on each artifact individually, and you kind of make it sort of like the Friday the 13th television series, for anybody who has not seen that or didn't even know it existed. It does not have anything to do with Jason Voorhees. It is about a couple young people who inherit a antique store, and essentially they find out that these kind of cursed items were put out into the world by this store, and they have to reclaim them. They go out and they try to get back what was put out into the world. And yeah, so every episode it's like, we got to retrieve this thing from this place, from these people who bought it, or however many hands it exchanged. And of course that object is cursed and is haunting the area or doing something to it. I think that this is the way to go. Now, of course, it's a little different than what I'm saying, but pretty similar. I think that this could be a good framework for this. As far as recasting or using our established characters, or actors, should I say, I think they probably should recast younger people, maybe even the people they used in The Conjuring The Last Rites. That would make the most sense if you are going to do a prequel thing of how they got all of the stuff in that room in their house. You already have the actors right there. So that would make the most sense. And I wouldn't be mad, of course, if they used Patrick and Vera, right? But, and I just saw a video about them talking about how much they're going to miss the franchise. But it did say that this was the last Conjuring film. It did not say anything about it being the last TV show, and plus it is the last case, but that doesn't mean that it has to be the last thing. right? It can be a prequel. It can be them working on cases in the past. So I think, you could potentially have both. You could have them, you know, recounting things. Maybe have them almost like crypt keepers, where they set up episodes and then they go back in time and it shows the actors from the Last Rites film that play them as younger versions of themselves. But I think that this is kind of a no-brainer for me when it comes to that room. That room is kind of ripe for a television series. It just has so many objects that you could make episodes about. And as I said, we can't see every single thing in that room. So you can pretty much create whatever you want, and then they can just kind of add it to the room piece by piece throughout the show's run. And I think this show could go for multiple seasons, right? This is definitely a show that could work for quite a while. So I think this is a great thing. The Conjuring Last Rites is absolutely killing it in the box office, which, I do always kind of find that funny, because a lot of people will show up for the last thing in a franchise whenever they're like Friday the 13th, the final chapter, or Avengers Endgame, or whatever. A lot of people are like, well, it's the last one. It's the send-off. It's the goodbye. Like, I gotta go see that. I was there at the beginning. I watched the first Iron Man, and I watched the first few Friday the 13th, whatever. And maybe they'll skip some of the ones in the middle. But a lot of people will go to see the send-off movie, even if they haven't watched previous installments or the entire expanded franchise, like an Annabelle movie or a Nun movie or whatever. So it is kind of funny how the studios will say, like, this is the last thing, and then the audiences are like, okay, I'll go support that thing. And because the box office numbers go really big, they're like, oh, well, I guess this still has a lot of life in it. Let's put out more. And it's like, and then a lot of the times those things struggle and don't do super well, because the audience is like, you told me this was the last one. Like, now I don't care. Right, so I think that they learn the wrong lesson, which, studios are famous for. They're always learning the wrong lessons from things. Just because a bunch of people rush out to see the Conjuring movie doesn't mean they're going to go see another one. But I do think that if you were to go, because what else could the TV show really honestly be? Because it is called a Conjuring television series, I highly doubt it's going to be like an Annabelle show or a Crooked Man show or something silly like that. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. What makes sense to me, and what will probably end up happening, is we will get a prequel show chronicling the acquiring of all of the haunted objects in their room. I genuinely, like, it writes itself. It's not something you have to put a lot of thought into. There's plenty of horror franchises, like the Halloween TV series that's supposedly up and coming. I honestly don't know if we're ever going to see that thing, but we'll see. But that definitely makes you go, I don't know how to do that for 10 episodes. Like, how do you do that? That's difficult, right? And there's plenty of franchises where if you were tasked with writing a television series around that basic concept of a Michael Myers, a Jason Voorhees or something, there's just not a lot there to draw from, right? But with the Conjuring movies and Ed and Lorraine Warren's room of haunted objects, I mean, that is just a wealth of endless source material there to draw from. And the Warrens had like 1,000 cases in their day, so and they're pretty much making most of it up anyway. So this is as I said, this is a no-brainer. This is a really simple one. I will be shocked if it's anything but what I had said. The only thing I want to know is if Patrick and Vera will come back in any capacity, or will they pass the reins over to younger actors to play them as younger versions of themselves. And for me, that makes sense to just take the actors they currently have that they just put in the newest movie that's making a ton of money and give them the job as Ed and Lorraine. I mean, once again, no brainer. So, yeah, this is cool. I like this. I know some people get upset when they're like, this is the end, and it's like, these things never die. These things never die. Any popular franchise, Friday the 13th, Halloween, The Conjuring now, any of these types of things, they will go on endlessly. And that's okay, because there's all sorts, like Friday the 13th. I love tons of movies in the Friday the 13th franchise after part 4. Had they stopped at 4, I wouldn't have Friday 5, Friday 6. Like, I love these films. I grew up on them. I've seen them hundreds of times. I'm glad that they didn't throw in the towel when they did. I don't like Jason Goes to Hell. So there's a like, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. It's all right. I don't have to love everything they ever make. That's I don't feel like that. I feel like if I like something, then cool. And if I don't, I just move on. So we'll see. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts on the Conjuring television series? Are you excited for this? Is this something that's just like, oh God, kill it already? They should have stopped after X amount or whatever. Or are you like, hell yes, I love this franchise. I want to see, a TV series go for 20 seasons. Like, what are your thoughts? And what do you think the show should be about? Am I missing something? Is there a better idea out there that you can think of? Something else within this franchise or something beyond this? Some stories or something that I don't know of? Let me know. I'll see you in the comments. Adios.